Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Basketball, Body, and Mind. Monday motivation, a little bit different. Today, about motivating you to eat better. But what does that better mean? Of course, nutrition is super broad and deep topic, but let's try to give the most important things. And if you would like to know more about something specifically in terms of nutrition, let me know. Text me, message me, email me. I will be happy to answer. But why about nutrition? That's of course one of the things in terms of recovery that can cover maybe 90%, 95% of your recovery. So nutrition and sleep, those two are the ones that will cover that much. But why I believe recovery is or can be limiting factor for many players is because that imagine that your capabilities are 100% and you are able to perform at your 100% of possibilities or your capabilities, but only because you didn't eat well or you didn't eat things that you needed to eat, your recovery is at 80%. So no matter how good you are, you will be lacking those 20% just because of nutrition. It can be because of sleep, but usually it is because of nutrition. So you're never going to reach your full potential because you will be never recovering to 100%. But if you can fuel yourself well and recover properly, you will be able to perform at that level. So that's why I wanted to talk about that. And we all know that carrying extra fat will not help you to jump higher, to sprint faster, to play longer in the defense, stay longer in the defense stance. Also, it will add up. That extra load will add up for you, and every cut, every jump, every sprint, every bound, everything will add up, and it can lead to sore knees. Apologize. So let's start with the number one is a pre-game meal. What you should have, what do you need to have before the game? So again, there can be many different scenarios of what, when, how much. So I'll try to give all these answers black and white that you don't have any place for interpretation. You can just implement. So let's say that on the game day, whenever your game is, you want to minimize actually fruits and vegetables. More vegetables than fruits, but both of them. Why we don't want so much of vegetables? Because they have fiber, and if you eat too much of the fiber, it can slow down your digestion, which can lead that you will have a full stomach during the game. That, of course, will not be good. So if you don't want to have that full stomach, minimize, even though your parents might say that, hey, you need to finish those vegetables. So if you still need to eat them, find vegetables that have more of water inside, such as cucumber or tomato. These would be good options. Then, thinking about carbs, so anything white, like white pasta, white rice, potatoes can be an option. Also, white bread in this case usually will be better choice than rye bread. Same with the proteins. We want white proteins, so they will be easier to digest. So chicken, eggs, fish, white fish. So these would be best options. Coming back to the fruits, they are okay. I would not eat like an apple, for example, at the halftime or just before the game, because it has more of the fiber. But if you feel that you want to snack something, watermelon or grapes could be great options because they have more of the water and more of sugar and less of fibers. So these would be things to eat before the game. So just to remind you, less of vegetables, more of simple carbs like white pasta, white rice, white bread, and white proteins, chicken, eggs, or white fish. So salmon in this case would not be the best option, but in some cases, as I said, I will give black and white answers. That's why I'm suggesting you to eat white fish. Now, during the game, what you can eat. Usually, we don't need much. You can remember that during the game, you need three things. You need water, you might need sugar, and you need salt. So these three things, you don't want any fats, you don't want any proteins, you don't want any fibers. We don't need any of those things. Just water, salt, and sugar. Homemade drink, water with a little bit of salt. So you have a pinch of salt in your 1.5 liter big bottle of water, pinch of salt. So you should not taste that there is salt inside. If you feel that the water is salty, it actually can lead you to feeling more thirsty. So you don't want to feel salt in your water. So that's one. So that a homemade drink can be like this. Also, you can put a little bit of you can put jam, you can put honey, you can put even simple sugar inside of that. Also, you don't want to make it sweet. You just put a little bit of that. And the more you put, the harder for your body will be to digest. So we don't want to make it harder to digest. You can feel just a little bit of sweetness in the drink, but not more than that. And you can take that during the game or at halftime, doesn't matter, but you need only these things during the game. Now, post game is when recovery starts. So depending, again, there can be many different options, but depending on how many minutes you played, you can think whether you need more of the food or less. So we can come up with this rule. If you played less than 15 minutes and you don't have a training session or a game next day, you don't really need to care that much about what and when you are going to eat. So you can just have whatever you want. You can have your protein shake. You don't need any carbs for this time. Just replenish yourself with water and have a little bit again of salt on your food whenever you will be eating. If you played more than 15 minutes, and if we're talking like 25 plus minutes, as soon as the game finishes, you want to grab your protein shake. Best case scenario, best case scenario would be if you can have a meal 30 minutes within after the game, but usually it's not an option. So protein shakes come very, very handy. So you have a protein shake plus a fruit like a banana, grapes, something that it is sweet. And then within 2 hours after taking that, you want to have a solid meal. So that would be the best option what you can do. I know that some of you will be traveling. It's a away game and you just stop at the gas station. So what can you have in a gas station? So you need something salty and something sweet. But I'm not talking about potato chips. Something salty can be a sandwich, can be a hot dog, even it can be a burger. It's fine if there is nothing else. I'll talk about burgers a little bit later. So you want that. And if there is a possibility, I would recommend you to buy a chocolate milk or a yogurt so it will have a little bit more of the proteins. And then something sweet, whatever you like. Whatever you like. You like gummies, buy gummies. You want cookies, buy cookies. It's fine. For after you had a normal meal, or at least normal meal in terms of gas station normal meal, So if you want something sweet after that, definitely have. If it's very often you're going to McDonald's or somewhere else to buy some burgers, keep in mind if you will eat fatty food after the game, of course, it's better than nothing, but it can slow down your digestion a bit. So if you play late game and you are in the tournament and tomorrow a little bit more like at noon or morning you're going to play, it will be not so good if you eat burger. So if you have something less fried and more of pasta, more of rice, more of white bread, all these simple carbohydrates that I was talking before, they will be very, very helpful. However, if all team decides that you're going to McDonald's, that's the thing. Maybe I would go with more burgers and I would take extra bun if possible, and maybe a little bit less of potatoes still, or French fries still, if you like them, have it, but we don't want so much of fatty, deep fried food. So let's go to the next part, which is part 4 out of 5. So just general nutrition habits. If you don't have games, but we're thinking about long-term meals, so it's very simple actually. It's very simple to cover the basics. And outside of those game days, hard training session days, when you sit down to eat, just ask yourself these 3 questions. Where is my protein at this meal? Where is my fruit or vegetable at this meal? And where is water with this meal? If you answer these questions most of the time, you will be covering the basics. You will be getting your enough of proteins, you will be getting your fibers, you'll be getting your fats, and based on the current evidence, carbohydrates are everywhere, so you will be getting enough of carbohydrates usually also. Also on those days off that you don't have hard training sessions, that maybe it's a completely day off for you, I would limit empty calories. Empty calories, what does it mean? Those are potato chips, those are sodas, candies, sodas in general, any kind of soda. At the most cases, I would limit to none, not consuming them at all. That would be the best option for you to do for your body in terms of systemic, meaning full body inflammation, to reduce that, because the load itself, basketball game itself, lifting weights itself, stressful environments, pollution, air pollution, everything will lead you to more of the inflammation in your body. So sodas, sweets, sugars, all of these, of course, will lead also a little bit more of that inflammation. That's why I would limit them at all. However, if it's after the game, after solid meal, and you like them a lot, have it. But we don't need to be perfect here. But if you could even ask those three questions, even before, let's say you want to have potato chips, and you just want to eat full bag, before eating that, ask yourself those 3 questions. I have to get a protein, so you eat maybe 2-3 eggs before, you drink big glass of water, and you eat a banana, and then go and grab your chips. Trust me, in a long term, your body will say thank you. And if you want to lose, part 5, if you want to lose fat or gain some muscle, keep it simple. We will be manipulating carbohydrates mostly. So if your goal is to lose fat, so you want to limit carbohydrates, especially on the days that are a day off or lighter intensity day. Maybe you have just a weight room session. On those days, you want to minimize your carbs. What are carbs? So, of course, sweets, sodas, potatoes, pasta, rice, couscous, all of these. fruits included. However, fruits will be something that I would not take out. I would limit them, but I would not take out of your eating plan on those even lower recovery days. So, but let's say you have a team practice and you need energy. So your best, depending on the time when the training session is and how long the training session is, based on all the circumstances, I would say that on those team practices, before or after you have a normal meal, if you can choose when to have a normal meal, I would choose eating it before, because usually the training session will be finishing at 6 or 7. So if you can, I would eat before a team practice. So that would be your system that you will be using, and limiting those, as I said, carbohydrates, but eating normal meal on the days and before the team practice. If your goal is to gain weight and you need to gain a lot, maybe you're losing, or maybe it's impossible for you to gain weight. So we go into such details that I prescribe eating gummies during the training session or between the training session, because sometimes it can be 3 to 4 training sessions a day for some of you. Maybe you have morning skills, then you have a team practice, then you have another team practice with another team, and then you finish with a weight room. So it can be many different, as I said, scenarios. That's why it's hard to give black and white answer. So I try to do that. But in those cases that you had so many training sessions and you are measuring your body weight and it doesn't change, or maybe it's decreasing, so then you need to eat everything: chips, soda, candies. However, we keep that rule. You still need to ask, not always, but 3 to 4 times a day, those 3 questions. Where is my protein? Where is the water? And where is the fruit or vegetable? So this is, I believe, covering the 5 important things on the game days and in general nutrition. I would be happy to talk more about that if you would like to know, or if you would like me to explain something else or talk about something else, please let me know. I would be happy to do that. So in order to be 100% of the athlete, you need to take recovery to 100%. Because if you're not eating well, you will not be playing basketball well. And not because you didn't train basketball, but because you just didn't eat enough or sleep enough. But about sleep, I'll talk next time. So thank you for listening to this Monday Motivation episode of Basketball Body and Mind. So fuel yourself, don't waste your basketball potential, and as always, keep training basketball, body, and mind.